Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander Score Studio. Welcome to the show. So on today's episode, I'm going to be talking about some unique commanders that have a very unique property to them as well. Ones that are just, hey, I do this. No other commander does this. And by the way, well, let's jump into it and we'll find out. And the first commander I'm going to bring up is Finn the Fangbearer to illustrate just how unique this commander is and its unique property, in that this is an uncommon commander, but there's nothing uncommon about it. Okay, just let's do a quick aside. Me get on my soapbox just really quickly. I don't like when Wizards just throws uncommon commanders out there that do, like, nothing new. That just like, this just does this that other rare commander does that we released 2 years ago, but much worse, so no one's gonna play it. I don't like when they do that. I like when we get things like Finn the Fangbearer, which is super unique. A 1/3 human warrior with Death Touch for 2 mana in green. Whenever a creature you control with Death Touch deals combat damage to a player, that player gets 2 poison counters. This is a commander that takes you in a different direction than other Death Touch commanders. It's not like, hey, you know what? Let's use Death Touch just as an attack deterrent for your opponents or a way to get through in combat. It's like, no. Death Touch is now the deadliest thing in the game. We are going to be getting creatures through. We're going to be giving out 2 poison counters per creature hitting that has Death Touch, which means that your opponents can only let 5 creatures through that have Death Touch, or they are gone. And it might even be less than that with some of the things that you can do with this. So again, a commander that is uncommon, but there's nothing uncommon about it. It has a unique effect. You're building a unique deck around it, and you can utilize, again, some like underused cards that don't see play anywhere else because they're kind of hot garbage in Commander for most decks out there. And those are my favorite types of commanders. When it comes to unique ones, you usually get to see that. I mean, Ankle Biter. It's a 1/1 snake with Death Touch for a single green mana. Is this going to see play anywhere else? Or are you going to be like, I've got a green deck I'm building. I would like a good blocker and a slightly good attacker that really doesn't have a lot of power at all. Just very awkward to block. I'm going to play this. No, you typically won't just do that. I mean, maybe you will, but typically won't. Are you also going to play Poison Dart Frog? A 1/1 frog with reach for 2 mana that can tap for 1 mana of any color, and you can give it Death Touch by paying 2. No, you might not play that one either. I mean, it is a nice mana dork that you might just utilize in a mana dork type strategy, but hey, it's a mana dork in this deck that also can just be like, I'm attacking. You going to block or not? You gonna block or not? You better block, because if you don't block, I'm paying the 2, and you are getting 2 poison counters. Or how about Hornet Queen, which just does see a good amount of play, but in what other deck is Hornet Queen a one-shot KO on anyone? A 2/2 insect with flying and Death Touch. ETBs makes 4 1/1 flyers with Death Touch. You have 5 flying Death Touch creatures that are evasive, that have Death Touch, and they give 2 poison counters each. So if you swing this Hornet army at an opponent, they are gone. What other commander can say that? Typically be like, I swing my insects at you, and they're like, okay, I take 6 damage. Oh no. But no, with this commander, it's like, no, you're out of the game. Also, yeah, you can still utilize cards like Mirror Convert, which gives you Toxic 1 on this. So sure, you can give poison counters out in that way as well. It's also another mana dork. Apparently mana dorks just are like, I'm very angry, I'm not very powerful, I must take you out. So this Poison Dart Frog, and also Plague Mare. This is the OG with the Infect, right? With the poison counters. This one can tap for a colorless. But yes, again, essentially, other ways to get poison counters. You can, of course, keep track of those too. But yeah, focus heavily on Death Touch. And also, of course, proliferate type effects. Smell Fear. Proliferate. Target creature control fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. Having a Death Touch creature fight a creature means that that is a instant KO. That is a one-shot KO. No matter how big that creature is, as long as it doesn't have indestructible or protection or whatever, you are taking that creature out. And on top of that, proliferating, which means that all your opponents get an extra poison counter whenever you're doing that. So yes, again, Finn the Fangbearer, almost said Fang the Fangbearer, which is not correct. Finn the Fangbearer is a very unique commander. Again, an uncommon commander. Do not just discount uncommon commanders. There are great ones out there. In Wizards, I urge you, please keep making more and more unique ones like this and the other ones we have coming up. Because next up, we've got a very spicy one that breaks some of the molds when it comes to In Orzhov Commander, what it's supposed to be, Killian Ink Duelist, a 2/2 human warlock with lifelink and menace for 2 mana in Orzhov. Again, uncommon, but nothing uncommon about it. Spells you cast that target a creature costs 2 less to cast. This is absurd to be played in Orzhov. The fact that this is an Orzhov is just like, you gotta be kidding me. That is like an Izzet type effect, essentially. You'd expect that from Izzet with like Spellsling and stuff like that. But no, this is like, no. We're taking Orzhov in a different direction. Targeting reduction. You can do a lot of different exciting things with this one. So this is a commander that, again, lets you go in a different way, a different strategy for a color that typically is like more like, tokens, aristocrat, which, yeah, those are great, but this is like, no, Spellsling Orzhov, go have fun. Go cast your generous gift for a single mana. A single white mana to destroy any permanent on the battlefield at instant speed. Sure, they get a 3/3 elephant, but again, you're like, oh, okay, cool, that's fine, whatever. I just instant speed took that out. Or 2 mana Utter End. Again, you make some of the, I mean, it's a very good removal spell, but it's kind of overcosted compared to some of the other ones that you'd probably use over it into, oh, this is undercosted. This is crazy effective. Exile target non-land permanent just for 2 mana instant speed. Chains of Custody. You can also utilize auras in a way as well. 2 mana, and that's going to be gone. For a single white mana, there you go. Chain creature control. When it enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent opponent controls to leave the battlefield and chain creatures ward 2. So protect one of your creatures, get rid of one of your opponent's things as well at the exact same time for just a single mana. What's not to love about that? Also, you can go heavy into auras if you really want to as well. Things like Night Howler, some bestow creatures. There you go. Whenever enchanted creature, this enchanted creature each get +X/+X, X number of creature cards in all graveyards. So whenever the enchanted creature is attached to this, it gets larger and larger and larger. The longer the game goes, that creature gets dealt with. Then this Exodus is I'm a big Night Horror as well. I'm a big Night Howler. I'm going to be out in play. I'm going to be hitting opponents. Thank you for playing me for just 2 mana instead of 3. You actually save mana for bestowing this versus actually putting it on, which is not normally what would happen. And of course, if you want to go heavy into auras, you can use Enchantress effects as well to huge effect. SRAM, whenever casting an aura spell, you draw a card. So yeah, Killian, again, takes Orzhov in a different direction. Sure, there are aura commanders out there in Orzhov. Sure, there are token strategies in Orzhov. Sure, there are go wide strategies, aristocrat strategies. But this is like, okay, you can spell sling. You can spell sling even with auras in a different way. It's a very exciting commander, a very unique commander, and one that, yeah, you just don't see in Orzhov ever. Next up, Aegar the Freezing Flame, a 3/3 giant wizard for 3 mana, and Izzet. Whenever a creature, planeswalker, opponent controls is dealt excess damage of a giant wizard or a spell you control dealt that damage to it this turn, draw a card. The amount of card advantage you get out of this is absolutely absurd. Yes, you can take it in giant tribal. You can take it in wizard tribal if you really want to. But just by going, hey, I'm going to burninate things to the ground and draw a ton of cards, yeah, that can be a unique strategy that you would not expect from an uncommon commander. And the power level of this, when built correctly, can be anything but uncommon. And you can also utilize, again, cards that are just out there, cards that are janky, like a Crow and a Horse. Yeah, this card. 0/4, Defender Horse, enters the battlefield, give it to an opponent. And then on the top of that, at the beginning of that player's upkeep, each opponent's going to create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. I should say each of their opponents, so that includes you. So everyone is getting a soldier. Congratulations. Thank you. That builds up throughout the game. You're making your fodder, essentially, to take out with your spells to ensure that you can draw a lot of cards. Every single one of those soldiers that is made is essentially a card drawn for you, except the ones that you have. But those are just nice to have under your control. Mizzian Mortar, spells like this that only hurt your opponent's creatures. 4 damage to target creature and controller, overloaded to every single creature. Take out those creatures. Again, the creatures that you gave your opponents to. Draw a lot of cards with those to be able to build up a mass amount of value. Again, have different strategies where you're just gaining value off of drawing cards too. Psychosis Crawler, draining your opponents for that. You also have like Chasm Skulker, getting it larger, getting a ton of creature tokens out. Battle Frost and Fire, again, yet another way to just actually destroy a lot of things. Well, it's going to be dealing 4 damage each non-giant creature and each planeswalker. Again, your commander is a giant, your commander is protected. You can also get the Scry 3, and then also whenever you cast a spell, convert Mega Cost 5 or greater this turn, draw 2 cards, discard a card. That's nice too, but the first part is what you care about. Taking out everything but your commander can be fun. Burninate things to the ground. Sometimes you might need to take out your commander, but we got ways to protect it too. We'll talk about it here in a bit. But yes, just wipe out the board. X damage each creature, X the number of creatures on the battlefield with chain reaction. A great way to say, all right, let's reset things. Everyone, we're all going down, okay? All right, everyone, it's going to be more fair this way, right? That player, a lot of creatures. I had a lot of creatures too, okay? They're all gone. Now let me draw my 20 cards. So there you go. It's very even, right? Sanctuary Blade in a way to keep your commander around. It comes attached to a creature. Choose a color. You give the creature protection of that chosen color and +2/+0, which is nice. But yeah, choose red. Your commander is protected from red. All of your red damage-based board wipes will be fine with your commander. It will stick around. So yeah, Aegar the Freezing Flame, again, takes damage in a different direction. Says, we're going to go about drawing cards in a new way. Basically like, hey, let's just trample over. Get some excess damage on creatures. Trample damage. Not to our opponents, but trample damage kind of essentially with spells turning into card advantage for you. Moving on, Lagrella the Magpie, a commander that is near and dear to my heart because, well, back in the day, I did try out Modern ever so quickly, ever so slightly, and got wiped because I tried doing Modern on a budget, but I did build a deck that I thought was pretty fun, which was just like, hey, weird Fiend Hunter type weirdness going on. Little loops that you can make with Fiend Hunter, and Lagrella the Magpie opens up that because it's a Fiend Hunter essentially the command zone, but even more. 2/3 Human Soldier for 3 mana in Bant. Enters the battlefield, exile any number of other target creatures controlled by different players until it leaves the battlefield. When exiled card enters the battlefield to control this way, put 2 counters on it. Basically, again, kind of like a Fiend Hunter, like storing up a creature and saying, like, you're gone until I leave. You're gone until I leave. This one, again, for any number of other target players, which is quite nice. So all your opponents, you can basically Fiend Hunter each of them. Fiend Hunter is a great card in this deck as well. So being able to just, like, store creatures. Okay, you can use this to store a creature. Maybe you could even store your commander, maybe? Because if you do that, and then when maybe you have another Fiend Hunter type effect, like a Lumbering Battlement, which is even better, enters the battlefield, exile any number of other non-token creatures you control until it leaves the battlefield. You can create a loop with these creatures because you have this one, which exiles that one until that one leaves. And then you have that one leaving, which exiles another one. You basically have a 3-creature loop of leaving, entering the battlefield over and over and over again, getting all these kinds of ETBs, especially when you have this one that can actually exile other creatures that you control, so you can keep getting those again, and there's some crazy off-the-wall things you can do with it. You can also utilize clones, which have in, hey, enter the battlefield, become a copy of creature control, which could be like a Fiend Hunter, or like a Changeling Hero, which is so weird. Champion a creature, any creature essentially, which is kind of like another Fiend Hunter for your own creatures. Just, oh, that creature has to go away temporarily until this leaves. So being able to store up creatures, like creature storage deck, is a weird and interesting off-the-wall concept, which is quite fun when you can pull it off properly. And you can win in some weird ways, like with Sage's Road Denizen, a 2-cent card that will send shivers down your opponent's spines when you play this with this kind of a deck, because they're like, oh gosh, whenever another blue creature enters the battlefield to control, target player mills 2. Your commander just is a blue creature, right? So if it's in this loop of Fiend Hunter shenanigans, you're like, oh, okay, cool. Mill you 2, mill you 2, mill you 2. Over and over again until all your opponents have no cards left in their libraries. Technically, even if they have like a Shuffle Titan, right? Rules lawyers out there, I know there might be some argument on this, but like, you could just infinitely mill them until like the Shuffle Titan's the only thing in the library, and then you're like, all right, stop. We're at the 1 card left. I know it's a Shuffle Titan because it hasn't shuffled. We can skip past all those other things. All right, no. You just get that, okay? You just get that, okay? You just get that. Regardless, you could also have like a theoretical duplication. Whenever a non-token creature has battlefield under opponent's control this turn, create tokens copy of that creature. This is hilarious. This is fun because, hey, you know what? I've got this loop going on. I've got me exiling your creatures, bringing them back. Again, as many times as I want, and all of a sudden, I make token copies of every single one of your creatures. Rules lawyers out there infinitely, but, a trillion each of them, okay? I can win in that way, too. Beck and Call, be careful of this one. Whenever a creature is battlefield to control, you may draw a card. You can also turn this into draw your entire library. Be careful that you don't mill yourself and lose, but yes, draw basically your entire library. So yeah, Lagrella the Magpie, a very unique kind of like Fiend Hunter tribal commander-ish that, yeah, might be overlooked. Moving on, Valduk, Keeper of the Flame. I don't think Valduk talks like that, but I decided to do that. At the beginning of combat on your turn, for each or equipment attached to Valduk, create a 3/1 relevant creature token with trample and haste. Exile tokens to get next end step. This is a commander that takes, I was going to say auras. It takes both equipment and auras, but yeah, you probably want most of the equipment with this commander in a different direction. It's not just like, okay, I'm going to suit this up. It's going to be a Voltron. I'm going to hit you hard. Cool. No, this is, hey, suit me up so I can make a bunch of creatures. You are suiting one thing up to go wide, which is like the exact opposite of typically what you're doing with these types of commanders. So get things like leather armor. Purchase +0/+1 and ward 1. Equip 0, activate once each turn. It's fine if you can only activate once each turn. If your commander is dealt with, that's okay. You bring your commander back out, you equip this for free, and you say, cool, that's another soldier of the cause, another elemental that's going to be made for this. Dragon Mantle. There are auras that you can utilize as well. I mean, not saying you can't utilize auras, but you usually want to be a little more careful with auras, obviously, since like it's a 2-for-1 and they get dealt with. That being said, Dragon Mantle has enters battlefield, draw a card. So it's kind of like a cantrip that like gets replaced, which is quite nice because again, this is like, oh, free lightning bolt every single turn as long as it's attached to my commander. Bravado, take advantage of making all those creatures. Make your commander do a one-shot KO very, very easily with this. And your creature gets +1 for each other creature you control. So your commander swings, and you're making all those creature tokens, and all of a sudden, it's massive, it is heavy hitting, it is so large, and it's got all those other auras and stuff like that, and equipment attached to it, so it can do a lot of spicy things. Take advantage of Devilish Valet, a 1/3 tramply hasty devil warrior that says whenever the creature enters battlefield under control, double its power until end of turn. This can get massive in no time. Again, if you've got like 10 equipment attached to your commander, the math is quite crazy on that, but yeah. 2, then 4, then 8, then 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512. I'm going to stop there. I probably messed up there somewhere, but yeah, you get quite large quite quickly. Your opponents will get taken out by this little 3-mana creature in absolutely no time. You can also take your opponents out with your elementals quicker. Ogre Battle Driver. Creature in the battlefield control. That creature gets +2/+0 and gains haste until end of turn. So all of a sudden, I mean, the haste doesn't matter, but yeah, your 3/1s are now hitting as 5/1s. Lots of damage to be had. Again, taking creatures into a different direction, taking equipment, taking auras into a different direction, saying, you know what, instead of doing that, we're doing all this, we're going wide, we get impact tremors in play, we deal damage, we're going a crazy different direction for equipment. Valduk, Keeper of the Flame, you are anything but uncommon. Next up, one of my favorite designs for an uncommon commander of all time. We've got Kardur, if I could say the name right, Doomscourge, a 4/3 Demon Berserker, enters the battlefield until your next turn. Creature's opponents control, attack each combat of Fable, attack a player other than you of Fable. Whatever attacking creature dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. This is basically superpowered goad, essentially, on a commander. Again, on ETB. I like that they included this in non-white, non-blue color combination because it's harder to work around, but you are getting a giant payoff because you can't blink this as easily. You don't have that many blink effects in this color combination. That being said, there's still some very spicy things you can do with it. And again, it's like a super-powered goad. Instead of, well, okay, goad is still very good, right? A creature has to attack other than you. Nice. Cool. This is like, oh no, this also includes creatures that aren't currently on the battlefield. So if your opponent like plays like a hasty creature, yeah, they still got to attack. I don't know if you do that or not, but like they still got to attack, you know, other than you. It's nice. It's very nice. So keep goading essentially, but super powered goad again. And when your opponent's creatures die when they're attacking, they get drained, which is quite nice. Again, you don't have a lot of blink effects, but you do have things that are like Jax the Troublemaker, which can make token copies of your commander, which yes, the legend rule applies. You're like, oh no, I lose it. It doesn't matter. You still get the ETB. Pay a red, tap, discard a card, create token scout, another creature you control. Gains haste, except you also get to draw a card when it dies too, which is nice, and you sacrifice it, yada yada. Basically, it's like a rummaging effect for you that also just repeat super goads your opponent's creatures, which is lovely. Golden Argos, you do have some blink effects though. Whenever it attacks, edge out each creature accrued at this turn. From the battlefield, tap to control, begin next end step. So your commander goes onto the ship and then leaves and then comes back, and then your opponent's creature's like, I'm angry for some reason. Let me go hit that other player. That's exactly how goading works. Feign Death. Yeah, you can also take advantage of your commander actually dying and coming back. So again, instead of having to pay that commander tax, who cares about that? My commander's going to die. No, let's have you come back when you die instead. There's a lot of these Feign Death type effects. Also, you can kind of force the issue. Village Rites, sacrifice a creature, draw 2 cards. A very good card. And also one that says, Feign Death first, sacrifice my commander, draw 2 cards. It comes back, goad again. Lots of value to be had there. Disruptive Card, of course, you can also utilize other goading effects as well to say, you know what, on top of my commander, I've got this super goad going on, but we got other goad synergies I can utilize as well. Goad all creatures to control for just 4 mana. Yeah, that is huge. Make your opponents do your dirty work for you. This uncommon commander, say, hey, you know what, swing at each other, take each other out, leave me out of it. When that last player is here, then I'll deal with them. I've already kind of weakened them to the point where I can easily take them out, though. But yeah, Kardur Doomscourge, a very cool, uncommon, unique commander. Moving on, Moritte of the Frost. This is a very interesting one because you typically don't see clones in the command zone. You really don't see very many at all, and you like never see one that can copy anything. anything. I don't know if players are aware of this, but More of the Frost says, enters the battlefield as a copy of any permanent you control. Except it's legendary, it's snow, enters with a counter on it, who cares, or 2 counters, whatever it is. What matters is, again, you can copy literally anything, which means that, sure, you can go like, okay, I make big creatures, I make my commander a copy of big creature, and I swing and I hit, haha. You can definitely do that, absolutely. But you also can have your commander become a copy of, again, anything. I mean, just as an example, if you want to do, say, like a hyper-powered, really big permanent, really, really powerful effect kind of deck around it, yeah, I have got some recommendations for you. You can do some spicy things like, you know what's worse than a Forced Fruition? 2. You get this in play, and then you get your commander down, and yes, I mean, these 2 cost a lot, but again, you're in Simic, you've got so much ramp, you can just get things out. This is somehow budget-friendly now, I love that. Forced Fruition, enchantment for 6 mana, opponent casts a spell, they draw 7 cards. Again, players are like, oh my goodness, I get to draw so many cards, good for me. You don't realize how quickly your deck goes away when you're forced to draw 7 cards every single time you cast a spell. My goodness, your deck goes by so fast. And of course, if you have More of the Frost, you're like, oh, okay, I make a copy of this. Oh, your opponents are in big trouble because all of a sudden now they have to draw 14 cards every single time they cast a spell. They're going to have no library in absolutely no time. Primeval Bounty. We're casting a creature spell, you get a 3/3 beast. Catch a non-creature spell, 3 counters on a creature. Land or spell for control, you gain 3 life. Get 2 copies of this in play instead. You're like, oh, okay. Absurd amounts of value. Casting any creature that's 2/3/3, 6 total power across 2 bodies. In addition, non-creature spell, get 6 counters on something or split those up. Land or spell for control, you gain 6 life. You play an Evolving Wilds, you crack it, you get another land, you just gain 12 life just for having this in your commander in play. Curse of Unbinding, so much fun. Enchant player, beginning of enchant player's upkeep, they reveal cards off the top of your library until they hit a creature. You get that into play. That player puts the rest of the real cards in their graveyard. Sure, you can put this on yourself if you want, or you can just put it on that opponent that's got that big creature deck, and you're like, okay, cool, this is on you, and then I make a copy of it, my commander, and then, yeah, it could go back on you again. So you can either split those up, put on someone else, or just have both copies on one player, and then all of a sudden, get 2 massive creatures out every single turn. Lovely. Mind's Dilation, so much fun to build around. When a pro casts their first spell each turn, that player exiles the top card of their library. It's a non-land card. You may cast it paying its mana cost. Yeah, now all of a sudden your opponent's like, oh, I better not hit something after I cast something, oh no. But also, hey, you know what? Make a copy of this with your commander. Get double the trigger. Get 2 amazing things off the top opponent's libraries for fun. Swarm Intelligence. Maybe you want to go Spell Slinger with this as well in a weird way. Fun times, absolutely. Make a copy of this. All of a sudden, whenever you're casting a sorcery spell, you copy that spell twice thanks to this and your commander. Choose your targets if you want. So much value to be had. If you're going like in this heavy like enchantment, big value direction, you can also, of course, get copy enchantment. Get even more copies of these giant things in play. Copy any enchantment. That's what copy enchantment does. Replication technique. You can also copy something and copy it again with that demonstrate. Yeah, you give an opponent somebody like, hey, like, I'll give you a deal. You want to copy one of your things, right? And they're like, yeah. All right, your copy can't ever come at me. Oh, okay, sure. Okay, cool. I get 2 copies of my thing on top of my commander copying it as well. So maybe they're not going to make that deal, I guess, but they don't have a choice. Forced Fruition, 4 times, 5 times, whatever it is, your opponents aren't going to last long when you're getting things going with More of the Frost with these really weird, off-the-wall things that you can do with it. Again, is a very unique commander because it does something that others do not do. Copy any permanent. Stop sleeping on it. And finally, I just want to give a shout out to this one. I am cheating here, okay? I am cheating on this one. Zada, although currently an uncommon commander somehow, is not uncommon. It started off as a rare commander when I built around it originally. So kind of uncommon. I guess technically based on like Pauper commander rules, I believe it would still be uncommon. Let me know in the comments below though, Pauper players out there. But yeah, this is a commander that has an incredibly unique effect. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets only Zada, you copy it for each other creature you control that spell could copy. Each copy targets a different one of those creatures. Basically, your spells kind of just swarm around. It kind of like storms your spell in a way, where it's like, okay, I target everything you control, which is amazing. This commander's gotten so good over the years. And again, its apparent rarity went down, but its power level has gone up because... oh my goodness, we got cards like, well, let's just go through the quick, and how you do it. Dragon Fodder, you got plenty of ways to make a lot of creatures, so do that. Expedite, plenty of ways to draw cards. So again, like, hey, target creature. All right, cool. Gains haste, great, good for me. Draw a card. Oh, okay, so I've got like 5 creatures in play. I draw 5 cards for 1 mana. Lovely. Eat your heart out, Ancestral Recall. Ancestor's Aid, here we go. This is where things got crazy over the most recent years. We've got cards that make treasures that also target. Target creature gets +2/+0, gains first strike until on turn, create a treasure token. So again, if you have 10 creatures in play, which is quite easy to get to, You make 10 treasures. That's a massive ritual effect. And of course, we got some finishers like Fist of Flame. Draw a card until end of turn. Target creature gets triple and gets +0/+0 for until after for each creature. Or sorry, card you drawn. It's absolutely crazy. Basically, just mass pump your creatures on top of drawing a ton of cards. So yeah, take out all your opponents in absolutely no time. And also, of course, like Stormkill Artist, which is somehow budget friendly now. When you're caster copying spells, you make treasures. So ritual effect as well. Zada, again, technically uncommon, though technically not uncommon when it was originally made. I just want to add to this list because it's a crazy fun commander. Absolutely love it. Definitely not an uncommon effect. One that is an incredibly unique effect, other than like Ink Treader Nephilim, which isn't legendary somehow. Wizards, fix that. Or maybe don't. That one, I have played that one as a commander, and it's disgusting. I also have a deck where it's legally in the deck as basically the secret commander, which is also disgusting. Gross. But now this episode is coming to a close. Let me know your thoughts are on these commanders in the comments below. What other unique, uncommon commanders are out there that I didn't cover in this episode? If you are interested in these cards, make sure you check out that card list link in the description below. There's also deck text around some of these commanders as well on my channel. And of course, as always, thanks again, and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.